This week on RSBANDB Update, the year ends strong with a surprise ranged beta. We have our first look. Dragonwilds launches the Fellhollow update, bringing new lands, new crafting materials, mounts, and the farming skill. It's RuneScape your way. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 1068, recorded Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. Betas and Dragons. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of RSBANDB Update. This week, we have the Dragonwilds Fellhollow Expansion that we're going to talk about in a little bit. And, of course, with that, Jagex has the wonderful tradition of throwing surprises at us the week before Christmas. And with that, we got a ranged combat beta. And for that, we have a Thaxi here. Welcome.
Hello. Yeah, I have enjoyed Dragonwilds content, but I have not actually played it and have not seen the new update at all. So
fair enough.
I will bow out gracefully after we talk about combat stuff, because combat balance is in fact my cup of tea.
Also joining us is Avernick from Scrying Pool, but has been doing quest and lore stuff with us. We'll do a bit of Dragonwilds lore, but you've been on Dragonwilds since day one, so we figured we'd have you back for that. Welcome back.
I am here for Dragonwilds and accidentally ended up on a combat episode, so we'll figure out how that works.
And we also have Tanis here, who has been enjoying Dragonwilds quite a lot, yep. Haven't you?
Absolutely. You know, I always said it was the modern RuneScape that I always wanted to play, and it just keeps delivering.
It scratches that itch and more, which we'll find out in a little while about. But of course, we would not be doing this episode without our experienced tier Patreon members. For that, this week, that is Amos Reed, Bladecom, Dominic R, Jade Gizmo, Jason S, Jesse W, Julia W, Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Ricky A, Scio Aces, Snail Mage, The Naked Captain, and Tim. You'll hear more about our Patreon offerings a little bit later in the show. But in the meantime, if you want to follow along, full show notes can be found over at update.show. Friends chat can be found in game, of course, at BitsBytes, and the community Discord is over at update.show/Discord. All right, so would it be fair to say that this is the necromancifying of ranged? Is that how we're feeling with the first look at this?
In part, yeah.
They simplified it and they removed the silly thresholds require you to have 50% adrenaline requirement.
To spend 15, yeah.
That's the biggest change to this,
that is the biggest. Yeah.
Right.
Is that it focuses more around using the basics as builders and then you deciding where and when to spend, even if you don't have that 50% adrenaline to fire off the thresholds.
Rotationally, they changed like when you would want to use an adrenaline potion too. Like instead of using it like you're still using it after a big costing ability like a Death Swiftness that drops you to 0 adrenaline, but you don't have to use it to get up to thresholds. Like you're not using an adrenaline potion because, oh crap, I can't thresh.
And that's the first thing I noticed is that when I went into, because ranged was my first teaching combat style. And when I went back into the ranged kind of rotations that I knew, that was immediately apparent, popping that adrenaline right after Death Swiftness. It's like, well, at this point I would go straight into rapid fire, but maybe I don't need that and I should be using this adrenaline on something bigger. So, and I think it's worth noting that nothing in here is final, and it's all very rough around the edges to the point that Tendrils is missing amongst a few other abilities. So,
yeah, intentionally, I think.
Yeah, intentionally.
I think they really want us to focus on other parts of the combat style.
And ranged has always been, I think, this weird thing that we walk, right? It could either be, at one point, it was leaning more towards the dot kind of thing. But later on, when it came to things like the criminal bolts and whatnot, it came to those procs and how many times you're hitting. And they have really leaned into the multi-hit abilities here with this beta.
There are like there are 12 abilities for range in this. 3 of them are effectively just buffs. You could say Death Swiftness does damage. You could say Incendiary Shot does damage. You're not using those abilities for those things in this combat system. You're not. Unless they change the balance on them significantly. So you have 9 damaging abilities, and effectively 4 of them, almost half, are just the same. It's you hit the target all at once, X number of times. It does X damage and costs X adrenaline. You did it! Like, there's very little in the way of impactful secondary effects. They have largely removed impactful secondary effects from those 4 abilities. They just hit a bunch of times.
Yeah. And, one thing on that, reading it in that perspective, I want to say that it makes it feel like ranged in this way is simpler than necromancy, because you only need to track the adrenaline and a few things like cooldowns of, say, snipe and where you activate your buffing abilities. But the reality of it is, I think if you are taking this from a very basic level to the end game meta high-end level, it becomes that complicated style that many folks have enjoyed using over the years.
A lot of the complexity is still there, right? Like, you're still tracking the number of times you hit for something like the Bow of the Last Guardian and when that procs. Like, there are some things, and like I will say the flow of it to me feels very good. Like, sitting both on Revolution and on full manual, like, it's right on the balance for that resource management of adrenaline. If you don't have either like Dracolich running with the Incendiary Shot buff to get a bunch of adrenaline, or some method of getting the Hydrix Bolt effect, whether that's just Elite Serenic or actually using Hydrix Bolts, it's hard to keep the high damaging abilities on full. You can't really use Death Swiftness and the new Splinter Shot effect and Dead Shot, which is like probably one of the bigger things, and then any like other special attacks you want to use for buffs. You can't keep them all active at the same time, and that's again before the cost of Incendiary Shot. So they did like the adrenaline balance when you have, it really requires you to use all the tools to get to like in order to be able to fire off all of your cooldowns. And otherwise you actually just get to say, hey, what cooldowns do I need in this moment? If a target's not at full health, you don't need the dead shot damage. So you just re-up your splintering or whatever. The system itself actually feels pretty well balanced right now to me. And obviously, again, it's not necromancy where you're balancing 3 or 4 different types of resources. Yeah. In this case, you're balancing 1.
Yeah.
And also ammo, which we'll get to. But like adrenaline as a resource that's the thing you haven't spent. And as a like starting combat style, it feels much better. I reverted myself to like lower levels to try some of like
do that in the
beta.
That's a very interesting thing that I would recommend people do if you're, 99 or north of 99 at this point. Make it feel like you're 60 or 70.
Yeah.
What is your range level, by the way? Are you 120 native? Because
I'm 120.
Okay, so,
I'm 120 native. Yeah. So the testing I did and the bossing I did was the 120. It just feels like you've got the aura on. Like they removed the auras and they said we're going to bump to 120. That's appropriate. Like the amount of accuracy boost you get is a little higher than what you would get from the aura. The amount of damage boost you get is a little bit lower. It balances out really close. It's fine. It feels very similar.
And I want to make one thing clear. I've already been chatting with Bears, who's a resident ranged connoisseur. He'll be on the first episode of the year in January. We're going to aim to, at that point, talk more about the numbers, as both me and him will have had the opportunity to spend more time in the beta over the Christmas period. But right now, I'll say, any numbers you see, definitely, I think, treat these as provisional. I think what we want to talk about here is just the general feel of it. Yeah. What did you think, Avernick, as somebody who's not, like
as a necro
sure,
necro homie? I'll have less in-depth thoughts than maybe you or Thaxi do.
That's okay. That's why I asked.
And maybe I'm spying like the just the comparisons to necromancy. I feel like there's a lot of basics available in the beta. Necromancy has 2 that aren't the basic attack, that aren't the auto attack. Range has at least 4 here, so I feel like I'm not as sure what to be throwing out. I know that snipe is a big damage ability. that one's been great, and you throw it when it's not on cooldown. But other than that, that's been a little bit of a little more thought going into it than I guess for Necromancy has.
Sure.
But I've really liked the feeling of the self buffs. I feel like that's something that range could delve into. Those feel really fun in a way where you're paying an attack cycle and an amount of adrenaline, and then as soon as you throw that out, you know what you have to do with that buff. Like now you're prioritizing getting all those hits out for like the splinter shot for the flat buff and all that, those things. And they've talked about in the blog turning maybe turning incendiary shot into a similar self buff for more adrenaline instead of being crit based. So
Right,
I feel like those give you a
that's what we've
goal
always
for the
said.
next 20 or 30 seconds of prioritize this to get the most out of the buff. And like you were saying, Thaxi, it at that high level, you can throw a lot of those out at once, but maybe at a lower level, you throw one down and you say, okay, this is what I'm doing for the next 20, 30 seconds. This is my goal.
Death Swiftness is unlocked at such a high level and is a 50% uptime and requires you to kind of plan a rotation within it to use it well. Splintering, what they've done is they've unlocked it at level 48. It has a 40-second uptime and a 38-second cooldown. You have 100% uptime if you just put it at the start of your
40%
revolution
adrenaline
bar.
Yeah.
If you have it at the start of your revolution, unless you're spamming nothing but snapshot, you have the adrenaline to cast it. Always. And it is the highest, like, other than maybe a well-planned death swiftness, it is the highest ability. Like, it's matching the average person's death swiftness. Like, if you have a non-optimized ability bar and you're just Revo++, you probably are better off just keeping splintering up the full time versus death swiftness. And it costs less adrenaline, so it messes with your rotation less. Because your Revo will fire everything else around it. They did a cool thing. They did a cool thing with that, with how they had this skill style.
I think so.
I do love that, and the icon looks cool. They did a good job. The damage that it gives you is not multiplied by death swiftness. It is a separate damage.
So you shouldn't use those in the same window then.
Nope, you absolutely should because splintering is too much damage for you. It is not worth skipping ever. In death swiftness, out of death swiftness doesn't matter. I wouldn't spend adrenaline on it in death swiftness if you have the choice. I would cast it first because death swiftness is 30 seconds and it's 40, so you cast it and then you build back up to DS.
To the 100.
But like the start of my combat rotation right now, unironically, is like on the beta is splintering, adren pot, death swiftness. Like it is. We're not. Like that's the buff. That's the start. Because you want them both active. For everything.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Now,
regardless, the
thing that I'm I think most interested in seeing with this is that does this remove enough friction so that ranged can be maybe not as good of an introductory combat style as necromancy, but enough of the friction that somebody could start with ranged and see more success than they do in the live game right now, while also maintaining the high skill cap for people who like that kind of gameplay at the high end.
I think that is entirely done through the bulk. And actually somewhat through crossbows versus bows. Crossbows and being able to use Serenic to just get the adrenaline buff from that is a much more plug-and-play solution. Much more Revo friendly, much more like... and I played through... I didn't like level myself up manually, but I set rotations up at every level with the unlocked abilities for like the first like 60, 70 levels. And it works remarkably well. Again, especially without the big swing in adrenaline you get from having to spend 100% on death swiftness or 90%. It feels really solid the way the adrenaline management goes with this. Like at level like 4, whatever it is that you unlock Snapshot, it's the first ability you unlock is Snapshot. Snapshot has no cooldown. It costs 25% adrenaline. It hits like Trak. It is 25% adrenaline to do 300 and some percent ability damage, which is like the standard that they've worked around for like all of the abilities is like 300% is a threshold, and it costs like 20 to 30% adrenaline. Most of the special attacks are balanced around that right now. Like that is kind of just where they've sat. And Snapshot is saying, yep, no cooldown, just hit the button, do the damage. If you want something with secondary effects, it'll have a cooldown and unlock later. That is really cool. So it's like they give you, there's 3 basic abilities, and one of them is Corruption Shot. So there's really only 2 basic abilities. Snipe doesn't count. It has a 60-second cooldown that changes with the other.
Yeah, I was using Snipe, and I was saving Snipe kind of
okay.
the same way I saved my Finger of Death in Necro.
It's weird because it's not a great Revolu ability, because if you hit on a low health target, you're just gonna
it wasn't
10,000 damage and the target. But like, Snipe is a weird place right now. But the like Ricochet is not AoE anymore. Ricochet just hits 3 times on a target.
And
they
then,
just gave it the greater Ricochet.
And then greater Ricochet, I think
ups the damage.
Buffs the damage, and then the crowing perk adds more hits.
Yeah, but like when you unlock the abilities as a low level, you like crowing hits or Ricochet hits 3 times, piercing shot hits 2 times. That's the full list of basics. That's it until you get 40 mil and unlock corruption shot. And Corruption Shot is your only AoE with a range of more than 1 tile, and it's your only dot for the style. It's the only one for both of those things.
As is, right? Like,
yeah,
I think
and that's the key point. And I guess when you look at it from that simplistic point of view, that makes it a little bit more like necromancy than us looking at it from the from the high end.
You put these 3 things in a row, and it's if you have Coroming, you put Ricochet first. If you don't have Coroming, you put Corruption Shot first. Piercing Shot is last. That's it. That's the full explanation of the basic rotation. That's it. That's all there is to it.
And then
every other basic sacrifice Tuska, they're not worth using anymore because the basic attack is now better. So you have a 2 to 3 ability bar, and then you just spend your adrenaline based on priority, based off what's off cooldown, and you have extra adrenaline left over, you snapshot. And at every single level of the skill, that's the full everything. That's
how you a really good way
at every level
of describing it, and
this
that actually helps compared to what I was futzing around with earlier. I'm gonna have to give that a try again later.
The rotation concept, and so like we said, everything in this is subject to change for balance. As it currently stands, I've put in the show notes, and people you can find them there. I'm not going to read them out; it's not worth the time. A list of all of the abilities based on the damage they deal and their cost, and and cooldown, and the priority you should put them in. So, your best damage is to hit. Look at that list and say whatever ability is highest on that list. I hit that one. I hit that one first.
And I can actually show that for the people watching on YouTube as well right now.
Ta-da!
We do have that.
So everything in that rotation section is there. There's a revolution version and a non-revolution version. It works. Style feel good.
What do we think about special attack? Obviously, the ECB is still a thing to get more damage through split soul, SGB for multi-square targets. Where's the dark bow in this?
Darkbow doesn't exist anymore. Darkbow costs 65% adrenaline and does 600% damage. Congratulations. Deadshot costs 60%.
The new one? There's a new. What's the new Darkbow?
Gloomfire bow.
Gloomfire.
That might be.
I have not actually looked at that at all, so I don't know. If that's better, it might be worth more. The thing is,
you have to decide if it's going to be, because that weapon is upwards of 250, 350 mil right now.
Sure.
So you decide if that's going to go into the EOF or not.
Put it on the long list of expensive range upgrades, I guess. Regardless, generally speaking, from what I can tell, you prioritize special attacks above the old threshold abilities and below the old ultimate abilities. So you would Deadshot before any special attacks. It is just better now, especially since it hits with. So Deadshot now hits 5 times immediately, which procs the splintering effect 5 times, which just adds 30%.
That's the one that used to be a bleed, right?
It used to bleed over 5 hits over 10 seconds or whatever, and now it just hits 5 times, and all 5 times of those can proc bolt effects, arrow effects. Well, that's good,
because I remember back in the day,
new splintering effect.
I killed myself at Nex with that.
Yeah. Oh, it'll kill you anywhere you have reflects now. That'll one shot you on a Rax real fast.
Oh god.
Low in rage.
What about ammo? Yeah. I feel like we got to talk about ammo, because that was something that was changed here. We don't know if that's going to be the case, but holy crap, you burn through ammo now.
I think a lot of places in the blog it says subject to balancing, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Other than my concerns about like the like potential unlock requirements to have this like sniper setup being hard to balance, this is my biggest concern with the beta is like ammo use is like I'm going through what on live game would be like 300,000-400,000 gold worth of ammo every minute. And not using like the expensive stuff. This is like using like dragonstone bolts and instead of like onyx or hydrakes. Like the Wen arrows and stuff are just, those are a little cheaper at least, but if you're using twice as many, then the price doubles. And so right? Like in theory, like supply demand, that's not exactly how this works, but let's say, and then if you're using twice as many and they cost twice as much, suddenly using range is 4 times expensive as it is on live.
That's not going to go
kind of expensive.
Yeah, and that's not going to go over well. So that's why they said subject to balancing. What is this sniper setup you were talking about?
So they mentioned that in the blog. One of the things that they were looking as a reward space is to have more abilities like snipe. So when in the snipe ability preview, they talked about like, we've made this ability a 60-second cooldown and it hits like truck. It doesn't generate or cost any adrenaline. And to be fair, it hits just like a lot of other things do right around 300% ability damage, which is just to say this is a free snapshot. It's a free snapshot that takes an extra tick to fire. So technically it's worse, but since it doesn't have a cost, it's technically better. I would personally prioritize it higher than snapshot in a rotation. But it technically does slightly less damage in 1 extra game tick. Like it's just kind of worse damage wise. So it puts it in a really weird spot where it's this like really long cooldown, effectively free snapshot.
So there's a way. So they're saying there's a way, through content unlocks in the future that maybe you could bring that cooldown down.
So they were using it as
already,
no. They were using it as a reward space, is what they were saying. It was a potential reward space to add more abilities that are like that. That instead of leaning into the I'm going to hit 1 billion times fantasy, it's the I'm going to hit you infrequently but really, really frickin' hard in a small number of times. To where you're like a sniper instead of a like
chip damage.
Dagger. Yeah. Instead of being all this like chip damage but hit you hard and fast, or hit you fast and frequently, it's hit you hard and infrequently as like a sniper rifle versus a machine gun. And that was my concern, is that like if they put in a bunch of abilities, they're either going to be, you either need them all to make it a viable thing, in which case you have to buy them all, or you need to or you balance them so that they're each individually good, and then when you buy them all, the other version, the like base version of the combat style becomes unviable. Right. That's my concern. Which is that's really hard to balance.
And then that's also the thing, is that you have the tale of 2 different kind of combat styles, one that you get at base and then one that you buy into over time, which you might not necessarily be the best thing either.
So concerns about that. We'll see. Okay. That's like tentative on the tentative betas.
Yeah. One final question. How are our beloved Emerald Bolts doing in this setup with lots of hits?
It's weird because they interact weirdly with other poisons now.
Right.
I don't remember where we left the gloves, the Cinderbanes, because Cinderbanes used to be where if you had a poison hit splat, Cinderbanes had a chance to proc your actual weapon poison. If that's still the case, then Emerald Bolts are looking real good in this setup.
And that's what I was wondering, because of all the hits and everything to that effect.
Yes. Yeah. 12.5% chance for poison hits to refresh the poison effect and deal an extra hit. So, if you're hitting the target more, Emerald Bolts with Cinderbanes become better.
Makes sense.
How that compares to something like other bolts,
like
I don't know.
Splintering or full arrows even. Yeah. And like I said,
arrows are just better right now.
This is
Arrows is just sitting in the back and like, why are you talking about bolts? This is all arrows.
I mean, I had to be. That's where your journey on the show started.
It is.
But,
yeah.
All right. We will pick this up in January, unless there's anything else from this week on it from anybody.
early days. I remember the most recent comment beta. They had a lot of quick changes. So Christmas might throw a wrench in
Yeah,
that
I think
machine.
I think they're gone starting on Monday for 2 weeks.
So maybe early January we'll start to see some updates and some changes and some implementing some feedback.
All right.
Yeah.
Well then, I'm going to thank some Patreon supporters. Then it's on to Dragonwilds Fellhollow,
Woo!
Ashenfall, and whatnot. So, starting off this week, big huge thank you goes out to Alvaro L, Amos Reed, Arvids L, Bladeclum, Chilbura, Dominic R, Duramax, Guy Lafleur, Imperialis, Jade Gizmo, Jason S, Jesse W, Julia W, Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Mattman, Mighty Myth, Michelle M, Mike Wings, Mongrath, Pernasius, Ricky A, Robbie D, Rob Sovs, Samuel FL, Scott DS, Shirt Pants, Oasis, Smavin, Snail Mage, Tabby, The Naked Captain, The Dabbin Goat, Tim, Ukulele Steve, Woody, Zant, and Zazakon. Big, huge thank you, everybody. And if you're wondering what all this is about, patreon.com/RSBNB. Go there, sign up for as little as $1 a month, and you get a back catalog now of 89 other monthly bits, including the most recent one, where we talked about the World Guardian era quest tier list. I fought for numerous S's. I wanted numerous of those quests down at D, but the rubric forced me into other places. But if you want to hear about that, give it a listen. Patreon.com/RSBNB. You'll also, of course, be helping support RSBNB Updated. We do a new monthly bit each and every month. So if you want to sign up, $1 a month, you get an extra show, and you get the gratitude of helping support your favorite podcast. We also then have the VIP tier, our community tier. For $3 a month, you get a shout out at the top of the month on the show. You get high quality stereo versions of the show. You also periodically will take part in workshopping monthly bit ideas with us. You'll be able to submit Patreon discussion topics for quiet weeks and take part in our community nights. And of course, we also do have the Insider $5 a month tier where you get a weekly shout out on the show and expanded access to our clip archive that we use to make the clip show, the outtakes that Tanis and I will be recording this Sunday. There's quite a few of them from this year, and I think a lot of people who are regularly on the show have made those. But patreon.com/RSBNB. Thanks so much for your support, everybody. It means the world to us. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And ciao.
In addition to the ranged combat beta, the other thing that we wanted to discuss initially this week, and the thing we needed to discuss, I think, in its biggest form, is the newest Dragonwilds update, Fellhollow in 0.10. And, I certainly put a bit of time into it this week. Avernick, you put a bunch of time into it as well?
Yep. Just as not much, if not more so than the initial release.
Right on. And Tanis, you did that too, and I think we might be having another revelation from you on that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed getting back into it, and I can't wait to talk about it. And I can't wait to hear more about maybe some of the things I didn't quite be able to reach from Avern.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing I was wondering through this, and I've been being asked by people, like, how much gameplay is there? Like, if we were to put an hour figure on it, you put one person into it, how long does that take? And then if you put 4 people in there in a group, how long are we looking at for that, do you think, Avernick, from like the very beginning till the end of this update?
Sure. So looking at my Steam metrics right now, I have 50 hours on Dragonwilds, and so far what I've done on it is my initial playthrough. I've done one additional playthrough with a friend in the initial release area, so you can subtract maybe like 12 hours we played on that, and then the Fellhollow. So at this point, 35 to 40 hours. If you're exhausting, like maybe if you bum rush the main story, maybe it's closer to 20. But if you're building bases, you're training skills, you're doing every dungeon, you're trying to craft like the different masterwork weapons, it's maybe
if you were going for completion or something to that effect, then yeah, okay,
yeah, I'm probably playing out maybe a little more than a same person.
Yeah, because the thing that Dragonwilds always gets compared to is Valheim, and Valheim had the depths of story that was associated with it. And, whenever people say, what is Dragonwilds, the thing that I always go to is I basically say it's RuneScape Valheim. And I think that's the best way of describing it. It's a survival-based game set in the RuneScape universe, Ashenfall, to be particular. And the whole business of it is that you go in solo and you start from effectively nothing, build everything up. You can build bases, you can build houses, you can build forts. Or you can just focus on, going through the storyline. You can focus on killing things in the Dragonkin dungeons. And I think it scratches an itch for people who want a RuneScape-based survival game or a RuneScape game that is not point and click.
WASD.
Yeah. Which I know, Tanis, you're nodding your head here, but for the audio people, how does that make you feel?
Liberated, free at last, free at last, free at last.
We can all experience that fall damage.
Well, I mean, I'll experience it 10,000 times over, versus click my mouse, wait for the Tin Man to move. Ugh. I mean, I can dodge, I can roll, really roll now. Yeah, yeah, it's huge.
And to cap it all off, since we last spoke about Dragonwilds, they have creative mode, which means that you can go into it, get unlimited resources, and just build to your heart's content. You don't need to worry about things aggroing you. There are dedicated servers coming soon. The option for that tab is already in the in the game menus. You can play with yourself. You can play with just friends. You can play a hardcore mode if you wanted to. And, maybe this is a good point to just jump into the sheer customizability of it, where we left off and how we've been playing this time. I'll start with you on this one, Tanis. And because I was mentioning all the different ways you can play Dragonwilds, and this is the one thing that you wanted to really hone in on.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first, started playing Dragonwilds, I was amazed at how it felt like it was the RuneScape that I wanted to play. That's the kind of game I always really wanted to experience. It was just really, really cool. I didn't do as much of the story, and we can talk about reasons why that first time around, but I so fell in love with the building. I was making just stupid stuff, just having fun. And I did
Speaking
progress
of building,
all through the regions.
there is presently right now a time-limited seasonal Windtumber tree you can build.
Oh, really?
Oh, I didn't know it was time limited. I saw it, but
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, and so that first time, you could make your own worlds. You could, do it with friends. There was, things that you could do. But I started a regular standard, playthrough. The first thing I noticed this time, and I think it may have came in, a hair before this update, but this was when I kind of noticed it and experienced it, and it was added on.
Yeah, because we haven't talked about it on the show since launch week, and I don't think I've asked you about it since then.
Right. Along with like a creative mode that they've just, added to where you don't have to worry about resources and things like that. They made it so that you could do these custom worlds, and the amount of customization you can do on these worlds, it's amazing. You can make it the kind of game that you really want to play. If you want to throw that difficulty up and just make it, hardcore, you can do that. Or you can do the opposite, right? Have the ultimate power fantasy. There's all kinds of things you can do. But what I really like to see is power fantasy's fun, but that's also another way that you can address accessibility, because there are certain limitations later on that I would run into, especially in like the Stormlands, that first playthrough. There are things now that I can decrease, like the frequency of the world events.
Oh
I can
God,
decrease it too.
I was wondering if you could do that.
I can
In
do
think they
every
generally
survival,
decrease them from launch
I hate
anyway,
the
but-
upgrades.
But still, yeah,
Yeah. They
it's
did.
definitely been a reason I moved my base.
Right. And there were enemies that we all want to be challenged, but I want to see the content, right? Like
Yes.
I want to
Yeah.
like work through it and see the content.
If you're
And
just
there were
death
just
spiraling, then
and I would do that once again in the Stormlands. That happened a lot. But now you can turn those enemies down, and it's like, yeah, I can turn them down to a tenth of their damage, you know. And as I get used to mechanics or whatever, I can actually turn, I can go in and edit that. Like it doesn't have to be static. So the way that I can't say enough about being able to dial that game in exactly how you want to play it.
it's a bit
I
freeing.
wish.
It's a bit freeing that it's a
Yes.
single player game instead of an MMO, because then you are given those options. It's not your progress isn't
Yeah.
It's like, who
scaled
cares?
against someone else's,
Right?
Yeah,
Who cares?
You paid the $40 for it, or $30, whatever it was. It's
Yeah.
your game.
And if you want to
Yeah.
play it on story mode, you can do that. And it's good you mentioned that, because like I had fun with what I did. I didn't do much in the first week due to real life circumstances at the time, but I did get a nice little house going, and I did explore the first level 1 area and the level 2 area and whatnot. I got to the swamp, and that's kind of where I left it, and that's where I picked up this time with it. And the thing that comes to my mind with that, what you were mentioning, Tannis, is the difficulty of ramping up in there towards that tier 2 and eventually the tier 3 powered enemies. Is that that is where the RuneScapiness of this game kicks in, because it's like I can go and I can try and get through this swamp and get into the next light area, or I can go down this path, upgrade my armor to tier 2 and see what tier 3 looks like, and so on and so forth in that path. So most of my playthrough up to this point has been unlocking tier 3, to the point where I last played this before the show here. I just finished getting my oak battle staff. Yeah, I know that's still fairly early on, but it's something that's going to help along the way. And I am, the thing that I was most happy about getting into this playthrough again, obviously we'll say farming's there. We'll talk about that after. But I'm just glad
That's actual new content.
I'm just so glad to see that since I last played, we actually have all 3 combat styles in now, and they have equipment and they have unlocks going all the way to level 50.
I am glad you've been getting what you have out of Magic. I've also been enjoying it in my other playthrough that I've been doing with someone else. On my personal, I've been doing melee. I think we were talking the other night, and one of the issues I think with Mage and Range is that you need your space to kind of do your attacks and whatnot. Your attacks are slower and whatnot, and if you're playing solo, maybe it's a little harder. So kudos there for making that work as much as you have without someone else there.
Yeah, I was thinking about
but
that.
they are much better now. Now they've actually done those updates over the past 9 months or whatever it's been. The game's been out.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, another reason I think I would consider melee just in general to, maybe pick up on that as well, is that we only have the 2 elemental styles presently, air and fire, for Magic.
Yep.
So and then I mean the other option on that is that if you wanted to go with melee, you have the Abyssal Whip, which for people who played during the first week and a bit, they had an easier time getting the whip than they do now, because they moved. I think they what was it?
They
the
put
recipe?
the recipe in the dungeon. I think. Yeah.
Far away,
which is I think good. It's very good. It carried me through a lot of Fellhollow, so
Fair
it's
enough.
still very good.
Yeah, fair enough on that. But I didn't know you could customize the worlds on that, and maybe if I was starting fresh, that's something I would do. But good to know that. Okay, so Avernick, where did you leave off, and how did you're getting back into it this week look?
So I played for the first week or 2 or 3, whatever that time was, and I got through Dragon Slayer, killed Velgar, and I didn't do much past that. I maybe went around trying to get all the masterwork items. I thought that I really liked the crafting process, and that maybe we can get into this later, but I think something that it does that's very RuneScapey, which isn't directly pulling from RuneScape, is that
The
I
masterwork
think
items?
this, yeah, I think the skill levels are secondary to the resource progression. I
Yeah.
think the resource progression is a lot more interesting, and the skill levels are kind of just on the side. They give you like little like
Which
1%,
is on the
0.1%
par
buffs.
for things in this genre.
It's more survival game, and I like
Yeah.
it more when the game leans on get a cool new resource rather than, oh, you need level 20 to chop these vines. I think that that's a
Yeah.
little less interesting in
Yeah.
this game. So I had done masterwork stuff and all that, and I dropped the game. And then a couple months ago, a friend reached out and said they like survival games, and they said, hey, there's this one that's on sale today or something. Would you want to play it? And so I did get back into it, but on the Magic side, and we finished Dragon Slayer about a month ago. So I had done it twice. So coming back into Fellhollow, I didn't really do any prep on my solo account, but with jumping back in, I wasn't like rusty.
Okay. Okay. And then overall, you had a good experience this week, and we'll go through that entire Fellhollow
Yeah.
update right now. And I just want to say that this update feels almost expansion like, I think. Obviously it's still like a point release, but it almost feels like expansion like compared to some of the other updates the game's had at this point so far.
Yeah, if the next three areas they do in this before they hit 1.0 are like this, then it's we're eating good. There's a lot here to the point where it's potentially doubling the content that was in the base game entirely.
Which is
it wasn't
crazy
like
when you
50%
think of it.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think what we got this week is almost to the nature of doubling it?
I think that there's a lot of content and new systems and stuff. Like obviously they're able to rely on the old systems, but they didn't rest on their laurels, and it's just more of the same. There's a lot new.
Yeah. All right. What would you like to start with then?
I guess we could start where the update starts. So in order to access Fellhollow, after completing Dragon Slayer, the wise old man says to you meet him where he currently is, and he tells you to meet him at some door in the north of the map. And you do, and he gives you the password to go through. And that's when you hit with the intro cinematic, which I think maybe we'll talk a bit more in the lore section, but it's what we got as a narrative trailer a couple days before the expansion came out. It's the same drawn style as the intro to the game.
Okay.
So maybe they'll do this for every new area. And explains what's going on in Fellhollow. And immediately you're put in front of an audience with Death, who has come to the region. He's having a problem here. And the wise old man's kind of left behind, and Death is now the one tasking you with going to go deal with Imaru.
Okay, so it kind of is, so it's doing the typical, I guess, RPG kind of thing, where after you do the first area with the wise old man, now we're kind of passing you off to Death then, effectively, as you're.
And it seems like they might be
questing
doing that, yeah, with each region. They've said they have a new character that's accompanying us. I think it's supposed to be Ixalan in the desert and Ziliana later on.
Oh, that could be
pronounced Death.
very interesting.
Yes, and this game happens roughly around where RuneScape currently is as well. So it's modern day Ixalan and Ziliana,
Okay.
post Aftermath
Yeah.
and Twilight of the Gods.
That's what I was wondering when we get to the lore on that. Is this, like 6th Age? But obviously that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that
We've been
answers
past that since.
That answers that question.
I think. Yeah.
What?
So the first thing that Death introduces to you, as soon as he tasks you, is he says he has a shop. First shop in the game, I think, which he accepts soul shards, which are a currency that are dropped by enemies. You can find them in dungeons and chests. There's specific ways to like really grind for them.
So what exactly
And
do they do?
In this shop is what's the best way? So you know how in the first region there's all those scrolls?
Yeah.
And they kind of start cluttering your inventory because you've claimed this or whatever. It's some new weapon recipe or building recipe. It's kind of that, but in shop form.
Okay.
So they've taken all of those scrolls. Instead of getting scrolls, you get soul shards, and you come to the shop and you choose which ones you want. And this is where all of the alternative tier 5 armors are. So White Knight, Ranger, and Necromancer, which are the alternate to the steel, green D'hide, and
for the other combat styles.
split bark. Yeah. As well as an assortment of jewelry options, which jewelry is brand new to this to the game in this region. This was a slot that we couldn't even use before, but it was in the game. I think that's most of it. And I think he has a bunch of colored capes for very cheap, so you could some customization. I really like the Soul Shard mechanic. I think it's a lot cleaner than the scrolls that we were getting in the first region. I also really like that it's seemingly exclusive to this region. I like that they're playing around with how you get these different recipes.
So effectively, it's not going to be cluttering your inventory. It's just going to be something that you use, and then it just gets
hundreds of them stacked in one slot. Yeah.
That's nice because, I've gone through chest after chest after chest, and, you see something that you might have. Oh, you can't use this. Oh, we'll just leave it off, to the side, that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. It's maybe small, but I think it makes the vestige system better where you learn these recipes. Also, they're not scrolls. What they do in this region is every time you find a quote unquote recipe, it is some old beaten up version of the item, and you study it, and that's how you learn how to make it. So it's an old White Knight helmet, an old White Knight chest plate, and then you get the recipe.
I feel like that's been suggested before for RuneScape proper, that people would like a mechanism like that. But I guess it makes more sense in a survival based game where you can just fetch the materials for it and whatnot. So.
That being said, not all the vestiges are here. There are still some in dungeons when you interact with dragon statues. There's also still some that are random drops. I think I found some old worn ring, and investigating gave me the recipe for a ring of recoil. So they're still all around.
Ring of recoil.
A lot of them are here.
Now the question with that is how powerful is that compared to?
I didn't notice too much.
Okay, so on the same sort of tier that.
There's one jewelry slot. It's so ring or necklace. You don't get both. And there is one piece of jewelry in the region that is kind of better than the rest. It's called the Salve Amulet. So
I'd imagine that does exactly the same thing or similar to what we expected.
It probably won't be as good in the next region, but it was very good here.
Right, because you look at the trailers, you do see lots of undead.
Right. So the region's all undead, and then very quickly, after you talk to Death, in order to get through his temple into the next region, you have to go through a ghostly portal. And in order to interact with these ghostly portals, the game's tutorializing you at this point, in order to interact with the different ghost arches, you have to purposely debuff yourself. So there's a debuff in the area where if you're in this very red water or on this very red thorny ground or whatnot, you slowly build up a bar. And if you fill it, you become spectral. And while in this form, you have like 5 or 6 minutes before you insta-die. But while you're in that form, you can see different things that you couldn't see while you were fully alive. And that is what you need to do to get through this portal. And then you need it later on in the region to see other portals.
That's a really neat mechanic.
It is. And the longer you're in this form, the more things start to spawn in and try to kill you. So at first, it's very slow, shambling ghosts. And then it becomes like wolves that are pouncing on you until it's actually Imaru has found you and is starting to spray fire around you.
That almost sounds like the Stranglewood in OS. A slight variant of it.
I did not do Desert Treasure 2. I know the lore, but I imagine the gameplay is...
Yeah, obviously different. Yeah, and point and click versus WASD Dragonwilds.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is very... Yeah, so in order to get out of that, you have to find a purifying fountain somewhere in the region. There's tons of them littered around, but in order to use it, you have to break the barrier around it, which you have to balance with while you're getting attacked by all these ghost things. So you have to like fight your way to get to your healing. And that's one of the main mechanics for the region is this I think it's called the Wither Rot. It's everywhere. You will just be walking around and accidentally realize you've accidentally gotten off the main path of the forest, and now you're getting debuffed really quick.
Yeah, that's one thing I appreciate when you look between all the different regions and even the sub-biomes within the regions. It's just it's nice to see the difference on them, and each of them have a unique set effectively for them.
So. Absolutely. I also really appreciate that. So there's 3 new dungeons in the area.
Are we talking like Dragonkin dungeons?
Dragonkin Vaults, yes.
Okay.
And I think that one of my issues with early Dragonwilds is that all the vaults are a little samey.
Yes.
It isn't until those last couple that there's slight difference. Like there's one in the Blight Swamp which is full of like those exploding poison things and a lot of parkour. Like that one actually feels different, which I'm very happy about. All of the three vaults in Fellhollow have their own gimmick, which make them feel quite different. So
That's
they're
good.
not.
That's good.
Yeah. There's one that is very puzzly with a lot of levers and doors, kind of like the basement in Draenor Manor.
Oh, really? Okay, so they are leaning into puzzles a little bit then.
It took me a while to find the right combinations. There is one that leans heavily on that spectral sight mechanic, where there's a lot of hidden passageways and whatnot that you have to rot yourself for. And that one is very much like a blitz. There's very little doubling back on itself. You have to like have like a perfect run to get to the end and kill the boss. And the third one, oh shoot, what was the gimmick? It wasn't that bad. Maybe that was it. It was much more of a normal dungeon. Oh, it had a central room that was very vertical, and you had to keep like picking a path, following that path, then doubling back and get back to that central vertical room, and you had to do a bunch of those.
Are there any of the dungeons that rely on you using that air spell to effectively bring yourself up?
There are some secret paths. Usually they're secrets, and sometimes there's like statues of recipes on them up there. But I did manage to, in that last dungeon I mentioned, break through some of the geometry with that spell. So reported the bug, but I was standing on top of all of the rooms out in like the void.
So how do you get back in that situation if you get stuck?
I was able. So I jumped over to like what I thought was a little cliffside, but there was actually no floor there, and I fell right through onto the backside.
Okay.
I was able to jump back up through that floor that I fell through. I didn't want to have my gravestone out in the void.
No,
I felt like that was going to be a bad death run.
Yeah. Because there's no way to reset, there's no way to go into like a creative mode or whatever and go get your gravestone items like you can do in Minecraft. I don't think, right?
I don't know. So I haven't touched those. I think I really liked what Tanis was saying about, because
you can turn them off.
Said, but I didn't know if you could turn them on mid world. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, but you can turn them off
or
keep everything on inventory.
Because the thing I always remember about Minecraft graves in particular is that sometimes you can, die in a dungeon, but it puts you, on the other side of that dungeon, even deeper to the point where you would have to go and get them in it. At that point, it's just better to go
and
into
all your good
creative
stuff's in your grave.
And get that. Yeah. Like that's been the biggest thing, going about that I've been worried about with that. And I started building lodestones at my key spots to teleport me around with that to just avoid that and get back to them. And it makes dying a little bit less painful if you can lodestone. But
I think generally, like all my lodestones that have survived they're all kind of like placed outside a dungeon. So I knew those was going to be like my run back points or outside the boss fight. It's kind of where they just are now. I try to get rid of the ones where I don't feel like I use them that often, but the dungeons usually are spread out well enough.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And can you get can you get the vault cores back when you make or move those lodestones, or are they
yes,
gone?
You get a full refund on everything you destroy.
Okay.
No issues there. Especially when there's a point where it's like the scaling stations start needing vault cores, so you need to start reclaiming some of those or weapons or whatnot. Other than the dungeons, there's also a bunch of new enemies in the region. I think we had mentioned a lot of them are undead. There's zombies, there's skeletons. There's zombies and skeletons that are afflicted with the wither rot, so when they hit you, they're also applying this debuff that you don't really want to get unless you have a fountain nearby. There's dragon wolves, which I thought was very interesting. Though, like I think they were originally like an MTX thing, right? Like those were
it was a legendary pet. Yeah,
legendary pet in RuneScape.
Yeah.
I think they made one a mini boss in ED2. And now they just roam Fellhollow and they drop draconic leather. I think there's some lore journals about how they are Dragonkin experience where they were like, let's mix it dragon with a wolf, and they sometimes shoot fire.
What could go wrong?
Out their mouth. Yeah. Other minor enemies. Undead cows, rats. There's nature spirits, quote unquote, which are spectral terror birds. Those are few and far between. And then there's the mini bosses. There's green dragons, which aren't that bad, but they are required. You have to kill them to get the range armor for the region, which
makes
kind of
sense
sucks for range.
And see,
it
that's
makes sense,
the thing that,
but it's not just mining iron,
right? And that's the thing that, you know, was for me, is that the upgrades, and maybe I got my expectations set wrong for this, but my upgrades from tier 2 to tier 3 felt like a big stretch initially until I was able to start leaning forward on that. And I was wondering, you know, am I doing this wrong with Magic, or is Magic underpowered compared to what Melee would be at? And I have not been able to effectively get an answer on that. And, you know, I accept it's early access and all that, but
right? I think that generally it's like the weapons matter more, like in RuneScape. The weapons, if you kill it faster, it's good. The armor,
absolutely,
it's probably a difference between you're getting 1 hit or 2 hit.
Yeah.
It's like nothing too crazy. Even then, you want to have like your ward shield up or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, green dragons, which are a little unfair for range, but other than that, I feel like the further you go, and also the armors tend to have more cross pollination. Like the steel armor uses a little bit of the magic cloth, or the ranged armor uses a little bit of the steel or something like that. Like it's still cross, but nothing else uses the green d'hide. The other mini boss are Zogres, big hulking, zombie ogres. To my knowledge, their only unique drop is a sword vestige, a shadow sword, but I have not gotten it yet. I've seen that on the Discord. And then there's the usual vault guardians or whatnot sometimes in the vaults.
Yeah, I was looking at the drop rates on some of those, of the vestige recipes, like 1 in 100.
Mm-hmm. It could be a lot. Now that there are mini bosses, like there's like 5 in the region tops until they respawn. So maybe I'll go. The Shadow Sword seems to be like the only melee vestige that's not a. There's a Wolfsbane dagger, which does not do a lot of damage in the region. So maybe I'll go for the Shadow Sword.
Yeah, and I mean, Wolfbane dagger. I mean, where have we heard that before? Not doing a lot of damage.
It's good against wolves. It's good against wolves.
I bet it's good against wolves. Yeah.
They've started putting special passives on some of the vestige weapons. So
that's
I think
good.
there's a Necromancer's
that's
staff
good.
that does even more damage, but it breaks even faster.
Because if you look at the list of weapons, it's all a damage modifier, right? But if you take it one step further and add passives to it, then I think you're stepping another realm into that RuneScape angle. Because the stuff that you know, I showed this trailer to people in this game to people when it came out, and their thing was, well, you know, if I wanted a full game like this at this point, why wouldn't I just go and play Valheim, right? Or boot up a modded Minecraft instance. And I think the more differentiation this game gets from those other survival games, leaning into what we all like as the RuneScapiness, I think helps at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, I think the way it plays too, actually, I mean, that it just adds to the different weapon styles, like even within melee, right? Like the daggers are quick, and the you know, and with dagger and a sword or a shield or something, you're blocking things and encountering versus I haven't gotten back to it yet, but my first time I had like that giant great axe, freaking favorite.
There's so many low health enemies in Fellhollow. Like the two-handed, I'm sure, is amazing. Yeah.
So like, but that one, you know, you would roll, try to get an angle, have enough rage and enough time because it was so much slower. But to me, that was a lot of variety just within. I don't know. It's not like an RS3 thing where it's just a number, like, because it actually does feel different and play different.
One of my most damn moments, I think, was fighting my first green dragon mini boss, and I don't think I'd had a reason to use the dragon shield at that point, but I had it equipped, and I instinctively did block, and it felt so good. You block all that fire, and you can walk straight into it. It feels amazing. Like that gear choice really matters.
So it's not like the dragon shield in RS.
It's not partial,
where you just have it and it just provides you partial regen. If you actually physically block that attack, it will block everything.
It worked. Yeah. It was very fun. Yeah, there's just a lot. So there's a lot of enemies. There's a lot of new resources. I think we've touched on a lot of it, but there's coal,
which we know leads
makes
to
steel possible.
Yeah. Which is the highest metal right now, right?
It is correct. Correct. We're going to
Yeah.
do 3 more areas before 1.0: Mithril, Addy, Rune.
That'll be the day. That'll be the thing everybody is waiting for to get the full rune set.
Is
Oh
the
yeah. Well,
is it the coal, Avernick, that you make the pellets for the? Because there's a new fuel too, right? For the
there's a
blast
new
furnace.
so yes, you need a blast furnace in order to start making steel. It's a 2 and it needs its own fuel, which is a fuel pellet, and that's made with charcoal, adhesive, and coarse animal fur at a
Oh,
crafting
okay.
table. A little random, but I mean, they've started dropping as well a lot of these things in chests. Like there's a lot more swamp tar, so you can get adhesive a lot faster.
I have noticed
honestly,
that
it's just
more swamp tar.
yeah, it's very heavy, which is a problem when you're trying to travel or carry a lot of it. But it is now very useful with adhesive. Between that, um, there's draconic leather, which is either dropped from Dragonwolves or you combine dragon's blood with hard leather. So like the hard leather adhesive, like it's still building. Like all your repositories, it's still being added on to. Um, there's a lot more iron in the region, so good for steel.
That's
There's willow
important.
trees. Willow
Okay.
trees in small groups, which you need for a lot of the tools and I think that's the highest that farming goes, the willow planter. Um,
I have not
what else
unlocked
is
tree
new?
farming yet.
That's level 20.
I know. I think I'm like level
Okay.
16 or 17.
Dude,
I think I'm
I
15.
cannot wait for tree farming
You can just
because
put trees anywhere.
yes, I'm gonna Johnny Appleseed the shit out of that place, man. Oh, it's gonna be
I guess with
awesome.
that we can move on to farming. Avernick, is there anything else on the jewelry side before we get into farming?
We have jewelry. That's a big thing.
Okay.
Other than
And
that,
one
like,
jewel slot.
One jewel slot. Seems like there's XP boosting items for every skill.
Yeah.
There's like general like more crit damage, more
Ring
melee
of
damage, more
recoil,
magic
ring
damage.
of life,
Ring of recoil, ring of life.
amulets of strength, defense.
Salve
the works.
amulet, which
Which is
the
probably
recipe
the
is
one
a
you
quest
want to be
reward,
using.
but it's the one for here. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
go for it. Go for your farming.
No,
I know this is not Fellhollow exclusive.
No,
You can
this is
start
everywhere.
in the
You can
game.
start with this
Yeah.
everywhere. And I've just been farming red berries, wheat, and flax, and 3 farming plots that I've had next to the house. And just periodically, whenever I come back, check them. And, passively on that, I think I got to, like I mentioned, level 16 or 17 along the side of it. And, I was wondering, how things were going to be done here. In particular, when it comes to what is the core principles of farming on RS, and that's super compost and the tools and whatnot, and as per the way survival games goes, you got to make your own tools. You start off with the wooden spade. Later on, you can build a rain catcher that will allow you to effectively have a barrel that you could fill your watering can up from. Level 10 gets you the compost
Awesome.
bin and the compost bucket, which
Awesome.
on RS we put in just biodegradable weeds and fruits and veggies that we don't want. But you can put in anything bio-based here. You can put in feathers. You can put in raw
Bones.
meat that you don't want, bones, burnt food. Even you can put that all.
Mhm.
You can put that all in there, and it just works. And
It just works.
well, yeah, I
It
mean,
just
over time, and my thing with this, they took this to level 65. This is the first skill that goes to 65. And just looking at the wiki here, level 60 unlocks the super compost. 55 is the scarecrow. 50 cleansing rain spell. 46 is the large water barrel. Iron secateurs at 42. Speedy farmer 39. Harvester 36. The well is at 32. And then you get humidify, which I think I'm gonna be jumping up and down for when I get that at level 28, because I've always felt the watery aspect of the crops was a little bit annoying here in Dragonwilds with it.
I didn't build my base near a water source yet. Filling my watering cans, I was like, oh, it's out again.
Yeah. Water barrel at 24, and then tree farming at 20. So I am just waiting to get to tree farming for that. But Tanis, are you already there? And how did that go?
I'm not tree farming, but I've got like I got all kinds of water catchers. I've got water barrels. I haven't quite figured out how to interact with them and get and fill them up. But I've found what was a 3x2, so like 3 farming plots long ways by 2 seems to be like the maximum where you can kind of water everything. Um, I can't wait for a well. Although I guess I don't. I mean,
I like that a lot of the rewards here for farming that are like outside farming are all this water stuff, which is always like on the
yeah.
back of my mind. Do I have the clean water?
Yeah, that
Or
and
red berry
that's the
infusion or
thing I was
whatever.
wondering about with this
Uh.
is that the clean water aspect of, getting water you can actually drink is something with this. And I assume, the well will help with that, right? Or something to that effect.
It's supposed to
Well, the
be a
rain.
source of clean water to an eliminated extent every day. It just refills no matter if it rains or not.
Good.
Yeah, I mean the rain catchers are clean water
If it rains.
if it rains, but I haven't had any shortage of freaking rain. I started that was one surprise, like getting electrocuted just hanging out
Yeah,
in
they added
Temple Woods.
they
I'm
added
like,
storms
what
to
the
everywhere.
hell?
Rarely, or more rare than storm
I also like that, we pretty much also got seeds for most of the herbs and whatnot that are already in
Yep.
game. I've been itching and waiting, trying to get the Haralander seed because that is what is used for the weak healing potion. And then I don't remember the recipe for the standard one, but I know dwell berries are in there. But I do want to
Yes.
get those because I feel like I need to mention this as well, is that everybody has the idea in RS that, you just cook a lobster and you're good to go, right, for food.
Food
But
doesn't do
no,
that.
that's not how it works here. Food is like a fuel source for your character alongside
Your
your
sustenance
thirst
meter. Yeah.
and your tiredness. You got to keep those up or else you won't function. But how you heal in Dragonwilds, can I help you?
No.
Okay. I thought I said something funny.
You won't function. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. But you use healing potions to actually heal yourself, which is a little bit different than how we think of it in RS. But if you can eventually source snapdragons and dwell berries as something which I imagine you'll be able to grow with the farming skill, this heals 70 health, whereas the weak healing potion heals 40. So that's something always good to just have along with you if you're out on any kind of adventure and you need to heal up. The only downside about these healing potions, I think, and what do you guys think on this? It seems like they take a little while longer than is comfortable in the heat of battle to drink.
You got to find a spot and a time. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, you
whenever.
can't do it in the middle of the fight, I guess, is the way
So
that you look at it.
I basically rely on the ward stones
Yep.
mostly. So I'm like basically just butt naked under my armor, probably bleeding, but my armor is all shiny and good. It's keeping the stones are keeping it fresh.
As long as you're getting that radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about the ward stones with that because you mentioned those, and these are effectively something you can craft with rune essence and your rune crafting skill that gives you a shield effectively. But at the level
Generally,
of
I
some
find
kind
these
of toxicity.
more useful than healing. But yeah, so the problem is you can't keep using them, otherwise you'll get some debuff. But I think I find them more useful because when they break and I take some health damage, the ward stone stuff doesn't. The ward love bit doesn't go back on its own. But your health eventually starts to auto regen. So as long as I have a shield on top of my hurt self, eventually that hurt bar fixes itself
Right.
after 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and can you? I haven't used them in battle, but can you use ward stones in battle?
You can about the same speed as a healing potion.
Okay. So you got to work that in, and
Yeah.
each one gives a certain amount of protection for your character, and then over time you just get whittled away. So it's almost like a secondary shield then.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think my cap on it right now is I can get up to 100 ward with tier 5 armor. I think it goes up by the tier of your armor.
Okay.
Okay, that's
cap.
how I was seeing it connected there because I knew it was okay. Makes sense.
Okay. But overall, I'm not going to be too much of the farming fan here, but it's in game now, which we'll say, and as the first skill that goes to 65, I think that's kind of an idea of what they have to say as to what will be coming down the pipe for Dragonwilds here. But I've mainly just used it for, like I said, doing the basic things at this point: wheat, flax, berries, and then when we get trees, we'll see what the purpose of that is. I guess what do we use trees for when they're done? Is it just so you could like have your own oak tree nearby that you can fell for oak logs or something to that effect? Or
I'd imagine other than I think it sounds like Tannis wants to do it for cosmetic reasons. Have a nice big forest, but yeah, I mean, if you want to do any little amount of building to build a fort that looks nice, you need a lot of wood or stone or whatever you're using. So
yeah, and see, that was always my idea, is that if I was gonna build something for the sake of it looking nice, I would always just do that in creative mode myself personally. So
or you can turn your resources up, so like I get 10 times it costs me like a tenth of what it should. So
that's great.
Oh, so you turn that up too. So does that mean even when you pick like a herb or something, you get 10 herbs? Or is that just for like ore?
Actually,
or
I don't think
logs?
I haven't noticed it with herbs like that. But then again, I never noticed what those numbers really were. I was just dialing, just cranking dials.
Okay, fair enough. But the one thing that RuneScape players have always wanted, that have never come to either game, was a surprise for this update: mounts.
Yeah, they kept this hidden until like a trailer 2 days before it came out.
In this case, it is the Terror Bird mount.
It is a Terror Bird, yes.
Start off with.
Yeah, it's the only mount. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I saw people talking about it, and they're not entirely certain if it's strong enough. What do you think? I assume you have one.
It's not much fast. I don't even know if it's faster. I think it uses stamina slower.
Okay, that
running. So
and you look at WoW or something like ESO, and that's what they do. That's what they do for their mounts there.
Okay. It's got the smallest amount of slow fall on it. Like using the air spell is so much better to reduce fall damage and all that. And if you hit the ground in any way where you would have lost health, you A, still lose the health, and B, it disappears out of existence real quick.
Right.
So it's not like the sturdiest thing ever, but it gets you go across the field fast.
And I'd imagine that if you enter combat as well with it, you're gonna
you can't do any combat on it.
Right.
You can't use any items on it. You can't interact with anything on
it's
it.
Just
so
it's just a less stamina intensive way of getting around the world effectively.
Right. It's cool, and they said they're going to make more. But it's neat. The way you get it is through Vanika's side quest in Fellhollow. So it's not immediate. It's not like farming where it's available as soon as you start. But you do his side quest, which is just kill a couple of those ghostly Terror nature spirits and bring back a drop from 3 of them. And he gives you access to mount. It's just one click on your keyboard. I think it's left alt. Is the original keybind, and costs nothing. You can summon it whenever you're like not in a dungeon, pretty much whenever you're out in the open world. And just go. It's always available. It's not much more to it than that.
No, and I think the fact they didn't mention it and just to have it there as a surprise, I think that scratches an itch for a lot of people out there.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. It's fun. It's a fun thing to have had.
Imaru, the boss fight in Fellhollow.
The boss, the presence, the everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess just to back up real quick. So in the region, when you enter, your main quest is you have to go to 3 different points on the map to collect some curse stone. And it takes you across the whole new region. And when you do, you get to go to the Dragon Tower. It's a lot like the Dragon Slayer. We have to collect some components to go to that Dragon Tower. I don't think you see too much of Imaru during the region. Like I said, if you stay in that shadow site form for too long, she pops up. but largely not the most felt presence. Not like Velgar, who's like poison vomiting on you. If a release week every 5 minutes
Yeah.
of Dragonwilds.
Have you seen
I
that,
think it's less
Tannis?
now.
Oh, you
No?
might have turned that off.
Wait.
Because every so often in the main starting area, the dragon from Dragon Slayer will come by and fly and spit poison on you.
Oh, I've seen it earlier on.
Okay.
Uh,
I noticed that's been fixed too, because I used to go right through your
It's a
house,
lot
and it's
less often. And it destroys less. Yeah, it used to destroy whole bases.
yeah, and yeah, I was able to go in the house this time, so yeah.
So yeah, Imru, I feel like the presence felt a little less, but the boss fight, oh my God. Velgar fight is fine. It's got like 2 or 3 attacks. He sits on a wall, he does his attacks, you hit him, he flies up, he moves to a different wall. It's pretty simple. I don't think anyone was too impressed by the fight before.
I mean,
The
it's the
Amaru
game's
fight
first
is
boss.
it's game's first. It's Dragonwild's first boss, sure. The Amaru fight is really, really good. It has like 8 different attacks. They're all fairly fair. I think you can dodge all of them.
Hang on. We have a
instinctively.
moratorium on that word here. What do you mean by fair?
Lot of signaling on every attack. A lot of space. Basically, when you hit dodge, you get like immunity cycles.
Okay.
So like you're pretty fine. And then it incorporates the environment mechanics of the fight. So there's points where you have to go into that spectral sight zone in order to stop it from doing some player wipe mechanic, which it gives you a lot of lead time. But you do that, and then you're stuck in that form, and you have a less timer, and more mobs are spawning on you, so you have to get off the debuff. It uses mobs. It uses a lot more area attacks. I think it's miles beyond Velgar. I think it's kind of more difficult, but like it's very learnable.
Well, what you're
3
describing
tries.
sounds more mechanically intense.
Yes, it's more mechanical.
Yeah.
Which I think is way better.
Right, and again, I think it's easier to do telegraphing for those sorts of things in a WASD game than it is a point and click. At least with what we've known.
So big props to the boss fight. Looking forward to it again on another account, and looking forward to the future ones if they're going to be at this level.
Good. And what do you get for doing that? Is it just quest complete or?
It's a lot like the other ones. So quest complete, you get XP tomes, some resources, and then a new visage. I think it's an undead draconic visage that you can use to make a better dragon shield.
So basically, like the
of
Dragonfire shield, effectively.
Yeah, so at the end of Dragon Slayer, you get to make like a blight Dragonfire shield out of Velgar's head. This one you get to make a different one out of Imaro's head. I think it's undead dragon shield or something like that.
Hence the name Dragonwilds.
Yep. I see no reason to ever use a different shield. It's cool tech.
What tier should a person reliably be before trying to take on Imaru? Obviously, tier 5 would be good, but is 4, 3?
I did the whole region in tier 4.
Okay.
And then it wasn't until I was just before the boss fight I upgraded my gear to tier 5. I think you could do it in tier 4. You'd probably have less fun of a time. It's a big health bar. I think I cycled through most of the mechanics 3 times.
All right.
I think you could go up to like 4 or 5, maybe 6 if you. I'm not the best, but I was trying to keep like my enchant fire weapon up and all those things.
Yeah,
so,
and you said your main playthrough here is in melee, right?
Melee.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so, and I was going with like potions to up reduce my stamina, use of melee attacks, all that stuff. So
and see, you said something else there again. I think that's very clear. Potion to reduce stamina use while doing melee attacks, which a lot of people who are coming to this game might not realize it, but every attack you do, even in the in the other 2 combat styles, uses that stamina bar, and it's those combo attacks that you can do at least for magic. I haven't gone too far into that with melee that bring in the AoE and the high hitting and the higher crit associated with that. So stamina boosts are key.
Huge.
And Tannis, numerous times as I was going through these Dragonkin dungeons here, I was having flashbacks to ESO and needing to, manage the resources of magicka or stamina back then.
Yeah, yeah. And I got into I have to do it again now, but you make the different kind of waters, like the red berry infused waters and the bone infused waters. Keep up, I think it's keep up stamina really well, which worked well with the heavy melee style that I would.
And see, I didn't even know those were a thing because I've been mostly, discovering things organically. The only thing I've really looked to the wiki for is the tiering list of the weapons and whatnot. So effectively what you're talking about are like drinks or what have you that can help you boost your stamina then.
Yeah, there's meals as well. I've not even touched meals that have similar, I think even more powerful effects because they're like foods that are made out of other foods that are made out of other foods. Like there's all
yes.
There is a really good new drink that they add. It's like the pumpkin infused one, which slowly regens that ward shield bar. So for like a couple minutes, so you can fight, and if you take a hit, you don't have to go.
I wonder if this update was supposed to come out
around
around Halloween, with given how much undead there is and the pumpkins and everything.
Pumpkins are very undead, yeah. I think they've said it was going to be now for a while, but like hopes and dreams, I guess. It fits with the hollow. It's spooky. Fits with the spooky.
No, it's fine. It's good. It's good. All right.
Maybe it's just like Nightmare Before Christmas. We got a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody should go build the Christmas tree if you're on Dragonwilds. That is something I definitely did when I was doing that. I'll just pull up my screenshot for that, because that was something that I made sure that I did. And every game I feel like isn't complete until you have one. So for people watching on video, you can see that right now, and I'll just post this in the chat for you guys to see what that looks like. But it's there. So, anything else on core content before we move on to some of the lore tidbits about where this might be going?
It's just that, again, repeat. It's a lot of stuff.
It's more than I thought there was going to be.
Nice. Oh yeah. Oh, I think we didn't touch on this. They added a new building kit of stone stuff, so you can build like more of a castle now. They added a stone cutter station, and you make stone blocks out of just regular stone. I've been mining so much stone, and I've made a big tower fort thing in Fellhollow where I've moved all of my stuff to. It's. I feel like they're going to keep adding building kits every new environment. So, hell yeah.
And there's some I noticed there's legit defenses now, because I used to try to put little medium walls in front of my wall, and it never stopped the goblins. They just did whatever the hell they wanted to do anyway. And so, yeah,
I think it matters more. I think it matters more in that first region because there are no raids in Fellhollow. So there are.
Okay.
Is that how it's supposed to be?
Unless you aggro a mob and it follows me back to my base, everything leaves me alone.
So effectively what I should be doing then is, after I have a high enough level for it, is move the base to Fellhollow then.
That's what I did today. I spent a lot of law runes because that distance is huge. I'm moving a full inventory worth of stuff every time.
You need your lodestoning for that.
I also think that it's better to move your base up, because this is the bottom left of the world map that's it going to ever be. So if you can get more central, it's probably going to be better.
Yeah, that
the
makes
future
sense.
Expansions.
That makes sense.
But yeah, there's no raids, but those new-ish, I think they came out a couple updates ago, the defensive features that you can build, they have a half damage state, and you can repair them from that state. So it's not either there or they've destroyed it. They've taken some damage state.
Cool.
I put a couple of them up, but I haven't needed them in Fellhollow. Nothing attacks me.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well, that why I said if I was doing this from the beginning, I would turn off the goblin raids, because I'm in this primarily for the story and the and the building and the discovery aspect of it. I don't necessarily want to get woken up at 3 a.m. learning that goblins are coming and I need to try and push them off or die just to make them effectively run away. So
appease the goblins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, I think that's most of what I got for core content.
Yeah. And, you know, I think that if you want to experience a new building set, your best thing to do just go into creative, because you're going to have to gather so many materials.
It's a lot. Yeah.
To have them. So if you want to experience, you know, just something without, you know, the ramp up time for it, just, you know, download the game, press creative, and bam, there you are. So, but how are we feeling about lore, Avernick? Because, you know, it wouldn't be a RuneScape discussion in terms of lore. So where do you think things are going here?
Pretty good. I think that so the first region, quick recap, terrorized by Velgar, who is an Elvarg stand-in, and is a general Velgar.
It's
so
an
he works
anagram
for,
of Elvarg.
It is. Not MR is kind of like a Vorkath stand-in too. So, undead blue dragon. But back to Velgar. Velgar is General Velgar. He works for God Queen Kuldra, who's this big Hydra dragon god thing that we've only heard of so far and seen in cinematics, and who rules over Ashenfall. Velgar had beaten Bandos in a fight at some point. That's why the Blight Swamp is supposedly so poisonous. It's like Bandos's blood. And in defeating Bandos, won the respect of like all the goblins, while the goblins follow Velgar. We defeat this first general who's just terrorizing us in our first region, to supposedly the dismay of Kuldra. Go into Fellhollow, and we get the intro cinematic, which describes that Fellhollow used to be a great haven, ruled over by Imru and her mate, which starts with an X, and I forget, it's been 2 days. Imru's mate. They rule over Fellhollow, and they protect it from Kuldra. They're not on Kuldra's side. And because of that, Kuldra kills the mate. That makes everyone very upset. Everyone there, all the humans love the dragon. Imru obviously loved their mate. And then Imru goes after Kuldra for revenge. Easily loses, not by a mile, according to the cinematic. And then once Imru was dead and in the underworld, they clawed their way back and became an undead dragon in the region, terrorizing it. There is more lore in the region describing more how that happened.
Because there's basically lore books around every
there's lore books in every corner
and whatnot. So
all written by Mod Raven, every single one.
Yeah, because
he writes all the lore for the game.
And that's what I was going to say, is that it became apparent very quickly that he was the lore person behind Dragonwilds here, which is how that went. So it's the ones I have read have been very enjoyable so far.
There's a really good elf song quest in Gornfell, which really, really good. Props to him for that one. And supposedly we're supposed to be getting quests every month, new quests every month. Was a announcement they made a couple weeks ago.
Yes,
maybe they got
specifically the hiring on quests and whatnot too. Which again, that's going to be the kind of thing that's going to set Dragonwilds apart from the other survival games. Is that it's going to be more RuneScapey and it's questing kind of stuff, I think.
It's definitely RuneScape quest for sure. Warts and all, but no, it's yeah.
I assume you mean with like the reading and the finding of things then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
There was one side quest in Fellhollow where I was like struggling to find one of the points, but eventually got there. I feel that to an extent. I do feel like the signaling was a lot better in this one. I think the first region has a lot of signaling problems.
All right.
So after you see the cinematic, you go talk to Death, who's arrived. He is unable to reap the souls from the region because of what Imru's effect on the region, and that's why he's arrived. He needs to break the Imru promise so he can reap all of these souls of these people that are just wandering around undead.
And we know how the whole death thing works after that. And then from there, I'm betting we can see where Icthlorin's going to come into this after the fact, probably.
Potentially. He's supposed to be in the desert region with Dragonkin runes. I don't know. Maybe it's like, Death told me about this place. But that it's the desert, I guess, makes sense.
Yeah.
Eventually. So Death sends you in, and not only he sends you in to meet up with Cathin, who is a character that was in the first region. I'm sorry, Shane. Here's a spoiler.
No, that's fine, because I'd already actually picked up the side quest to do to get the Ghost Peak amulet.
Okay. Cathan died in the first region very, very quickly. He's a ghost for like most of Dragon Slayer. And he's still a ghost here, but now he's working with Death to figure out where how to break Imru's curse.
You know, I kind of
You have
expected that because I haven't found him yet.
uh but he's not only is he our companion here, after you beat Imru, he's like, oh, let's go together to the next region. So he's sticking around as a ghost. He's like, Death hasn't found me yet, so uh um he tells you where to go around the region. While you're exploring everything going on, the three not wise old man characters in the first region return to give new side quests. Vanica in this one, much more open about that he's a werewolf. I feel like that we're kind of like sidestepping it in the first region.
Right.
This one he kind of just outright and says, I think the flavor text for the Wolfsbane dagger is that all the Slayer Masters uses the Wolfsbane dagger to taunt him, and beat him in one-on-one fights. He's much more open about it. But his side quest is to get them out. So he has you kill the nature spirits. He does some Garu ritual, and then you get your mount. Dorix, I think, is still the least interesting lore-wise. In the first region, his mission is go in this Dragonkin dungeon. There's probably a cool recipe in there, and then you find the Grand Ball recipe, and that's the reward. This one's the exact same thing.
Which is the epitome of fetch.
Yeah, and this one's the same thing. It's like go in that dungeon, find a cool new recipe. It's the Salve Amulet. You come out, you can make the Salve Amulet. So I think that they finally gave him a lore entry, at least in the journal part, mostly describing like he has a son that they ran a business with. He's left the business to his son.
Is that okay?
He got drunk one night and agreed to go to Ashenfall.
How do we feel about that in terms of using what was, the RuneScape smithing tutorial character effectively as a fetch quest giver?
It's fine. He's iconic. I mean, he's also in like those old RuneScape novels as a main character.
Right. Okay.
Is that different than the task that you do anyway? Like you do a bunch of
his is the most underutilized, I think, so far. I hope. I think on those on the Discord today or yesterday, someone was asking about. Maybe it's on the main RuneScape Discord, and Mod Raven was chiming in. Someone was asking about, well, Ashenfall's this big magical place. Is Dork going to accidentally trigger that Chaos Dwarf curse that the dwarves have? He said, who knows? The next region is Zamorakian, so maybe they'll do something cool with him. I think that could be a cool way to go with it. It's like he's accidentally becoming a Chaos Dwarf. That's some deeper RuneScape 3 lore. And that's fine. And then Zanuck has a sequel to the Restless Ghost quest called Even More Restless Ghosts, which they dive a little bit into how she kind of works for the underworld at this point.
Okay, I was going to ask about how Zanuck comes into that given everything that's happened in RS3 and where we're at.
They're full following it. The reward for the quest is the Dorgishan crossbow recipe, and in the flavor text for that, it describes about a time where she had to defend and the crossbow worked because the bolts are made
Oh,
of
really?
Yeah, so they're full. It's all in there. Yeah.
So do we presume then that that's something that they could pull on at some point for a future underworld quest in RS3 if they wanted to?
I'm sitting here thinking, oh, you'll do heroics for those people, but when I talk to you and you say F off.
I mean, it could even be. It could come in as combat skill. There's a necromancer staff.
Could.
Never know.
That's another thing I was thinking of. And sorry to kind of derail the lore here for a bit,
all good.
But Dragonwilds doesn't need necromancy as a combat skill.
No, they give you all the necromancy stuff here as magic gear. I think the full old school route where it's all magic gear.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I just wanted to mention that since we were kind of on Zanuck and
No, fair. I did like this Restless Ghost quest a lot more. They tell you where the ghosts are in vague hints, but like the first Restless Ghost, they tell you nothing. Practically nothing. I felt like it was very hard to find things. I found the ghost in this one, and then each ghost had like a little task to do for them, which was substantial enough. So I like this version of it better.
And the world's tremendously explorable too for that, which is good.
Yes.
So
yeah. Side quests are good. I'm excited to see where they go forward. Post TP is in the region by Death. they don't really use him here. He's the one that tells you how to use the rot to use the door, but he doesn't have a side quest or anything.
Okay.
So hopefully they revisit him for one of those upcoming updates. But side quest aside, I think there are a lot of parts to the region. There's a Lake of Souls. There's an old Wild Knight Keep. I think the most interesting part of the region is Ember Wood. I'm pretty sure I looked up the name when I typed that into the notes. Which was the main town village of Fellhollow, is the one that Immeru and their mate looked after. And from everything we see about this region, this town, it was the perfect place to live. It was Zamorakians, Ceradominus, Guthixians, and Armadillians living in harmony and living their best life. And it was perfect. Everyone was moving from Brynwood to here until everything started going to shit and everyone started leaving again. This was the place to be until the whole Coldra thing ruined it. So this was the union that could have, should have been, and unfortunately went to shit.
And I mean, it's good that they lean into that a little bit as kind of an eye-opening thing about what could have been, compared to, just going down what is a path of, complete destruction or cosmic destruction, as certain other quests have done before. So I feel like everything that we presented here is a lot more bite-sized.
It is. There is a series of journals that you can find throughout Fellhollow. I think there's 7. I think I might have missed the 3rd, but I got most of the story. Like Ravana's first journal, second journal, whatever. And it kind of goes back through that intro cinematic story, but from her perspective.
Okay.
And it's absolutely this woman's fault. She was a necromancer that lived in the region who goaded Immeru into getting revenge for Coldra killing their mate. And in order to give them the power to take on Coldra, they gave Immeru a necromancy curse to devour souls, hoping to devour Coldra's soul. Immeru died and instead ended up in the underworld and started just devouring souls because of this curse.
And see, the thing is, we know what all that means now. Soul devourers, devouring souls, the works.
Yeah. And it seems like through a lot of these journals describe that people were able to get their a blessing from these 2 dragons that watched over the town.
Okay.
And it seems like this blessing kind of linked everyone to the dragons. So when Immeru started going nuts and soul crazy, that started making everyone else deteriorate. And that's why Fellhollow is this big undead region, is because that curse spread to all the humans through this connection they had as their town protectors.
I ask you.
So it's a little more background on that.
Yeah, and I ask you a quick question on that. You have to, answer right away. Does this feel RuneScapey to you?
I think so.
Okay, good.
I think so. I really like the it's a simple premise at the top, and then you can really dig in a lot more, and like all of the world mechanics still make sense. It's like it's the waters are all from like the River Numenon and stuff like that. Like it's all pulling from all that underworld lore and soul time and necromancy.
And now you
stuff.
see why they hired Mod Raven for the project. They needed somebody who knows the RuneScape lore like the back of their own hand.
Yeah, it all stays very consistent.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like the look on the region you get eventually once you've gone through a lot of it. Once you defeat Immeru and you can go talk to everyone post-quest dialogue. If you talk to Cathin, back your friendly ghost, he says that while death hasn't reaped him, maybe we can go check out this place called Dowden Reach, which you can see the facade of it on a cliffside. It's this big Zamorakian Black Knight fortress looking thing. And he says that he senses someone still alive.
So they're kind of teasing the next.
That is the next region according to the roadmap. Is Dowden Reach. It is comparatively on the world map what they've left for it so much smaller, but from what they've described it's supposed to be a lot of underground areas, and it's really based around this Zamorakian fortress. There doesn't seem to be a dragon boss associated with it. They've talked about all the dragons are that are associated with other regions. I think this one's a lot more focused. Maybe it's that necromancer. She said she survived the whole ordeal because she was necromancer. She wasn't cursed like everyone else.
So I wonder, is this going to be their opportunity to do something like a Black Knight's Fortress kind of quest, maybe like an infiltration?
Well,
I absolutely think so.
I was going to say, didn't they bring in white armor?
Oh yeah, white armor is the alternative to steel. I'm rocking that. It seems like every region they're trying to like replicate RuneScape things with like it being like not the knockoff or Kirkland version, but like but like you're supposed to reminisce like Velgar is Elvar.
For
You
our
have, like,
for our
Wizard's
listeners who
Tower.
are not North American, Kirkland is Costco.
The Costco brand.
RuneScape. But it doesn't feel like
Velgar's
that,
supposed to be Elvarg. No, it doesn't. But like you have your Elvarg standing. You have Emmer's very Vorkath. Undead Blue Dragon is Vorkath. A lot.
Yeah.
So and now you have your Black Knight's Fortress, quote unquote, Doubt and Reach.
And I think it's okay to have the parallel.
It makes it feel RuneScape.
Parallel storylines like that.
Yeah.
Well, you want to capitalize on your IP.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Makes you different.
And they can't have Elvarg and then Vorkath and then the Black Knight Fortress because those have all been used and they're spoken for in other regions of the world. And I world building aside, we don't necessarily know where Ashenfall sits here.
North. It's north.
How far north?
That's not said, but I guess it'd be more north than Arachronia.
Okay.
From Discord conversations with Not a Raven, it was set to be north before he was on the project, and he's made it work.
Okay. Because, you look at the RuneScape map and everything, going north that way, like the northwest part gets icy, whereas Anachronia up there has managed to, maintain itself as a regular island. So
something magic-y.
Yeah. I mean, it works. It's not like we're, going to get a RuneScape expansion at some point. And you're going to be like, I can see Ashenfall from my house.
It's not bothering to draw that to attention too much, but yeah.
But and that's the other thing that we'll mention as to it goes back to that question of why not just have Elvarg, why not just have Vorkath? Well, they've been spoken for, and this is the same world where the things have been going on at the same time.
They're trying to. It is after the RuneScape 3 events, but they are still also trying to be true to OSRS. I think that another conversation was had like they're not going to use Bob the Cat because he's dead in OSRS.
Shh.
Whoops.
No, that's fine. We talked about that before.
Okay.
But I think the thing that Dragonwilds can do is that you can have this realization that this is all one world, whether it be Dragonwilds, RS3, or Old School. Granted, RS3 and Old School have similar areas that they cover, but it's like a different interpretation of it, or maybe some event hasn't happened yet as to why Bob is still walking around on RS3, but you reach the the grand scheme at the end of it that he's gone on Old School, and then you make the best of it and you kind of combine them both on Dragonwilds. So
and then you get the flat Gillinor theory, so you can put it anywhere. Or flat Gillinor.
Can't be East. Can't be Havenheim. It still continues to be a thing where like they announced 2 giant regions of the game around the same time, both the Dragonwilds and Havenheim, Ashenfall and Havenheim. The world expanding fast.
Yeah. And West is largely spoken for with Varlamore and Corrin.
And we have Varlamore and Corrin all in the yeah.
Yeah. So
big.
But see, the ocean's always putting out new land, and it just keeps.
Oh, now the ocean's a land. Right? Oh, no sailing.
Yeah, and the oceans are their own features now too.
Yeah.
Just sail me on a boat up to Ashenfall. Anything else lore-wise?
I think I covered most of the. It's only been 2 days, so I'm trying to gather everything I have. There's a lot in the flavor text.
Right.
I really like how in the White Knight armor flavor text it tells a story of this White Knight who went alone north and died up here, and that's why there's one set of White Knight armor in the region that Death was able to sell you. But it's a lot of little things, and I'm excited. I'm very excited to see what they do with the monthly quests, because I think that I do like how the side quests we got in Fellhollow were a lot more rewarding than the ones that were in the base game. I think that like each one served a much more specific purpose.
Yeah.
The salve amulet, the mounts, a new vestige, crossbow vestige, which crossbows weren't in the game when the base game came out, so that filling a hole there. I'm excited to see what they do with a little more breathing room with side quests.
Fair enough. Tannis, any final thoughts here on Dragonwilds?
No, just that once again, this is really hitting a spot. Yeah, we'll talk more about this in the year in review, but this is what I needed for now. We're gonna be here for a while, and um I'm just glad to see it, you know. I'm just glad to see that it wasn't left. It wasn't like, oh, that was fun.
One or
you
two
know?
updates and then just let it sit like they did with Chronicle or something to that effect.
Right. And and I hope I, honestly, I wish there was a way I could financially support Dragonwilds more just because I do like it that much, believe in it that much. Other than buying a copy for a friend, I don't know, but I guess you need friends, and well,
Yeah, well,
my friends
to
are
my
here,
knowledge,
so.
they haven't said that there's going to be like monetization or anything to that effect in there. It's not like you'll be able to go get your own mount skin or something to that effect. You buy it once and it's yours.
Right.
You
Yeah.
buy one,
No,
I
I
think
mean,
they said
it's great, but
they plan on the
yeah.
price going up for full release, so you're buying it at a discount now, even if it's not on sale. And they seem to have
Yeah.
very, very bright future plans for future content after the Coldra saga. So maybe they'll do DLC expansions or something like that.
And I'll be all over it, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
and happy to do so because, so far, so far so good. I was super happy when it first came out, and this was just, yeah, it was very rich. I mean, an expansion by any other word is what? An update,
Yeah.
I guess.
yeah, absolutely. The only thing holding back is its early access, because the full game is going to be
Yeah.
huge with 5 expansions.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll mention this, but I might as well since we're here right now, and this will probably be gone by then. But this week the game was on sale for 30% off. Apparently that's only on for another 13 hours.
Yeah, I think they've said that they're going to be part of some winter Steam sales.
Okay, so the Steam winter
there will
sales
be
then.
a different sale. Yeah, there will be a different sale coming up. That will be good through.
But
early
even
January,
then, for what you get, $39 Canadian. What is it? Probably 30 US. That's a good value
26 maybe.
for
I don't know.
Oh,
for
yeah,
what the game
it's-
is. So
absolutely.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, what, like at this point, it's about $10 more than a single month's worth of membership. You get it forever. It's got tons of replay value. Look at Avernick here. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
Solo with a friend. However, have it your way.
There's replay value too if you do it with. That's maybe like the one downside I think people try to draw is like, unlike like Valheim, it's like it's not procedurally generated. But I think that is to its benefit with like the quest design and the it's a really good designed playthrough, and you can find replay value like in the creative worlds or with or different places. I think that my Magic playthrough is so much different than Melee playthrough. Like that's been a big change.
Because like thinking about RuneScape, the only place RuneScape has done procedural generation has been the Arc Islands and Dungeoneering.
Shattered Worlds.
Yeah, okay, Shattered Worlds.
Yeah, Dungeoneering is the big one, yeah.
So, and maybe you need procedural generation to help you with that for a world, but that just adds a whole other layer of complexity to it that I don't necessarily think fits with a RuneScape questing environment.
I think maybe it's a hot take. I think procedurally generation adds its own kind of sameness. In order to get it to work, you have to have like the same rooms pop up or things like that. It's the same in a different way. Like you get to that same level of I've seen this all before. Not unless it's the biggest game in the world.
Right. It's like how many
quickly.
times can you get to the end in Minecraft?
How many times can you do the ferret room dungeoneering?
Ooh.
How many planets can you explore in No Man's Sky? About all the same.
Fair enough. Well, that's Dragonwilds Fellhollow. I definitely had a good time this week. You guys have me interested in maybe tuning some settings now, but we'll see. But I definitely want to continue on and have everything up to par for launch whenever that arrives. I think they're still targeting the end of 26 for that, right?
Yeah, so the plan is that it took us 9 months to get to this first expansion. The plan is now you have a update of this size every 3 months with a quest every month in between.
That's ambitious.
So I think that they've been developing regions in parallel is how they're accomplishing that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Hopefully theoretically the update frequency is about to pick up, and yeah, full release end of 26.
Right on. Okie dokie then. Well, with that, let's cover some achievements then this week. We do have a few of them to go through. Starting off, we have Tim 2 with 200 million thieving on December 16th, as well as Valthazar with 99 dungeoneering on the 16th. Then on the 15th, we have Valthazar again with 99 necromancy, Warrock with 120 strength, and Zerdones with 120 thieving.
Sorry if I butcher this. We have Shantuste with 120 dungeoneering December 14th. On December 13th, Stinky Pete got 99 runecrafting. And then all on December 12th, Rhino got 120 runecrafting, Lady Claw got 200 mil divination XP, and Warrock got 120 prayer.
Nicely done.
And awesome. And other achievements this week, we've got Snail Mage with an ice die. Nice. That was on the 17th. Bladecom with what do we have here? Well, I'm not going to say that right, but it's a death mask of Legatus. Who comes up with these names?
Miss Leoner?
Yeah, there we go. The Miss Leoner here and an Ember Staff. But congratulations, that's a nice one. Lemon got 2 third age ranger bodies.
How?
So the rich, because the rich get richer.
But she's an iron.
The luck is expended.
The luck of the ironish. The luck of the ironish.
Luck
there
of the
you go.
iron. If that could be the show title, unfortunately.
And then we've also got Zerdones with a Ring of Vitur. That is December the 12th.
Good job, everybody. All right, Tanis, what do you got for pick of the week?
Man, I'm back with another retro style game, but it's new and hit it out of the ballpark. It's Marvel Cosmic Invasion. So this draws from Marvel Comics, of course, but so it's not all, like movie Avenger type thing. Like the Iron Man is definitely the Iron Man model from like the comics. It's the older bronzer looking version. But it's basically a 2D retro style kind of beat 'em up. But the gameplay is just smooth. It's really, really good. The fighting, there's a lot of good combos. We're not talking fighting game intricacy, but much more than you would expect from a beat 'em up game.
So kind of like introductory fighting level game.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's just really a fun game. You pick 2 characters, and you can switch on and off throughout the level, the stage, and special moves. You can bring your partner in as you do a double team type thing. And the online is really, really great, actually. There's been a few times when I could not get through. I just couldn't beat a stage, right? Like I'd get so darn close, and couldn't do it, and then would basically create an online party, and then you can have 4 players, and we're talking like, man, it feels like old school arcade, right? Like you got 4 people up there, and you're just bashing everything, but you get the progress when it's all over. So I thought that was really kind of cool. So yeah,
and it brings in real people who are presently online.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I assume so. I mean, could they come in at different times, right? Like it's not like
right. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like an AI generated person.
Yeah. No. It's the It's the online part. So yeah, um, really fun. It's not too expensive. I think it might have been just a small sale when I got a $26-$30.
Yeah, because
like
right
that.
now, not on sale. It's about 40 Canadian.
Yeah. It's I think it's definitely worth it. It's getting really, really good reviews, and it's just fun. It's just a fun arcade kind of Marvel game. And like I said, it's all the like kind of more old school, more comic book Marvel. You've got like Cosmic Ghost Rider, but then you also got like, Black Panther, Captain America, your Wolverine, that kind of stuff too. So
Love that IP.
fun.
I am just honestly amazed that games like this have found a new way to put themselves forward in this day and age, because you look at what is a retro game typically in the past is that, it'd be something that you just download on like an emulator or what have you, because it wouldn't work anymore on modern Windows. But companies like this are actually leaning forward and providing games that provide that retro kind of still feeling for people who want them, even that, will just be guaranteed to run on the modern systems and whatnot.
Well, there's something that happens to every generation that you
no.
get a certain age and you want you want your toys back. You want the things that you had fun
Have you
doing
hit this point
when
yet,
you were
Avernick?
younger.
No, I don't think so. Well, okay, no, actually, yesterday I played Roller Coaster Tycoon. So I guess everything comes back.
It's just, I think that they understand there are a lot of people like me out there that while, we started off on these games, we went our own ways. We went on the crazy 20-year MMO runs. We've done the open world stuff, and we don't have the time or the energy, and we want something simple and fun sometimes. And this just hits that. And like Avernick said, this IP, it is special. I mean, it's got everybody, I mean, we're talking Spider-Man, Storm, Venom, Silver Surfer. I mean, like, it's great. And they all fight very different. They're very unique, characters. So yeah, that's the pick of the week.
Right on. And I was looking at this. You initially mentioned it. I thought it was like an old redo of a game that already existed, but no, it's something that was actually just created to suit this kind of retro style.
Yeah, they're on a roll. I mean, you've got the new Turtle. Well, it's not new, but the Turtles game we talked about. It's a roguelike. You've got this. The Terminator 2D is huge right now. Like, that's another big retro one that's doing great, and it's basically the Terminator game that we never got in the 90s that they tried to give us, but it sucked.
Did people want that?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Because we wanted those movie themed games, but we always got ripped off because they were always cash grabs. We never got the ones we
just like I always wanted Star Trek games and didn't really get that until Star Trek Online.
Exactly.
All right, good pick of the week. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of the production here for this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this bit of a hybrid episode, because we did start off we did start off, and I'll cross my fingers here, saying we did start off with the combat ranged beta stuff that we are. This is a very weird production time for us, and I'll probably go into this more for the Patreon people, but this episode you're hearing right now, talking about the wrap of 1068, is being recorded before the beginning of the episode, which we don't really do for that. It was to give us more time for the combat range stuff and get Thaxi on that as well. But Avernick, great having you here. Glad you enjoyed your Dragonwilds this week.
Thank you. I'm glad I was able to enjoy it so much to share with everyone else. Excellent.
And Tanis finding his variant of RuneScape that he wants to play presently.
Hey man, it's the Burger King of RS, and I rule.
Excellent. Well, if you guys want to join us for the end of year coverage at RSBANDB Update, you can subscribe update.show/subscribe. We're on all the big podcast listening services out there, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, and more, as well as YouTube at youtube.com/RSBANDB. And just a word on the end of year scheduling here. Next week, we will be in with the year in review episode where we'll recap the positives and the negatives, the ups and downs, the roller coaster that was 2025 in RuneScape. And then after that, Tanis and I will be back for the clip show. And then we have already been informed that there will be a little something in game dealing with an inverted skill cape or two for the game's 25th anniversary, which we will be covering, of course, in the first week of January, with more on the ranged combat. But it's finally all come together. This year's production schedule was a bit hectic, but please do enjoy our holiday episodes, our Christmas episodes, as we've been going for. And of course, everybody have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that fun stuff. I'm going to say that right now because I think our next episode actually comes out after Christmas. I don't know when the clip show will go out yet. Probably January 1st, maybe New Year's Eve, depending on it. But I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who's supported the show over the last year with regards to our last regularly scheduled update episode here. So thanks everybody out there, and of course thanks to the people that do this show with us here each and every week. You guys help too. Always good having you on, Tanis and Avernick.
Thanks.
And Avernick, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. No, I was going to give you your own moment in the sun.
Okay.
But I decided to
I came on your
pair you together. And, that's okay, because you were the one that always thought if you said the wrong opinion, you would be not invited back.
And well, now I've done it. So this has been a good run.
With that being said, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.